Martin in Sanford, and then the shooting death of Jordan Davis here in Jacksonville, both thrust the Stand Your Ground law into the spotlight.
Good evening. Tonight, a Tallahassee Democrat has just become the first legislator to introduce a bill to repeal Stand Your Ground.
His proposal has immediately become the focus of the continuing debate on this controversial law. Tonight, Channel 4's Adrian Moore has been gathering views of those on both sides and is joining us now with what may be a very night in the Capitol.
Absolutely right, Tom and Mary. Good evening. Representative Alan Williams, he is prepared for some pushback from Republicans in the House, but says this is being abused and needs to change. And while John Phillips, the attorney for Jordan Davis's family, says this is a step in the right direction, others say finding language both sides are happy with will be extremely difficult.
It's trying to rule out some of that gray area.
It's been under the microscope since the death of Trayvon Martin and Jacksonville teen Jordan Davis. Now, legislation aimed at repealing Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground law has been filed.
Our role and our responsibility is outlined in our state to put forth laws and to pass laws that we think will be for the betterment of the entire community.
Representative Alan Williams of Tallahassee is behind House Bill 4009, which removes the no duty to retreat language in the current law. Williams says he's a supporter of the Second Amendment, but says the Stand Your Ground defense has been abused and become a crutch. The filing comes after Governor Rick Scott created a task force that examined the law for nearly a year. But defense attorney Mitch Stone calls Williams' efforts an uphill battle. He has successfully won several Stand Your Ground cases and doesn't believe a compromise is possible.
I think that the vast majority of the people in the state of Florida believe that they should have the right to defend themselves under any circumstances. I don't believe there's a middle ground, because the middle ground is way too subjective.
Attorney John Phillips represents family Jordan Davis. While he doesn't believe the duly drafted bill will impact his case, it would change future cases. Points to another key amendment as a step in the right direction.
They redefine dwelling and make this about home and property protection and protection of the person, not just two people get into an altercation and somebody gets killed, that, this might be a Stand Your Ground case.
Jordan's father, Ron, released this statement, quote, "We have emailed Representative Williams letting him know that we support him in this effort."
And a few other things to keep in mind here. This bill still needs a Senate sponsor, and it must also be approved in a number of Senate committees before it could move on to the governor's desk. Tom?
Thank you, Adrian. This law has been on the books for 7 years here in Florida. The Tampa Bay Times has done a comprehensive review identifying 200 Stand Your Ground cases and their outcomes. According to the research, those who invoke the law to avoid prosecution have been extremely successful, going free nearly 70% of the time. This paper says it found in many cases the law served its intended purpose, exonerating dozens of people who were deemed to be legitimately acting in self-defense. However, the paper also says there have been cases where the law allowed drug dealers to avoid murder charges and gang members to walk away.